Welcome everyone to another Idea Chat CNY. It's your host, Tony Kershaw. So for all of our first-time viewers, Idea Chat CNY is a live web series based at Syracuse University, dedicated to helping budding entrepreneurs and thought leaders all over the globe. We do interviews with awesome people doing amazing things so you can get the advice you need to launch successful ideas or land really great jobs. In the past, we've covered topics related to startups, tech, design, media, and so much more. Before we bring on our guest Carson Artz, I want to invite you all to use the hashtag IDEAChatCNY and tag IDEACUS to submit questions, comments, and really just pick his brain while we have him on the air. Um, you can submit questions by also hitting the blue button right here, and we'll put those questions during on the air during our Q&A session. So let's talk about Carson. Today we'll be talking to Carson Artz of myharbor.com to learn about how he gets into the design floor, get into the zone when it comes to design, and really talk a little bit about why he developed his platform, Harbor. So a little bit about him. Since he graduated in May from the Industrial and Interaction Design program at SU, he spent the past 10 months bringing his design platform, Harbor, to life. Harbor is a patent-pending design software that helps visual thinkers get in the zone. In just under a month, he has over a couple hundred users and has had an overall positive reaction from the community of designers he's already spoken to. So, without further ado, let's talk to Carson.
Hey Tony, thanks for having me.
Carson, you there?
Yeah, hey Tony, thanks for having me. Can you hear
Yeah, I
me?
hear you just fine. How's it going?
It's going really
Sweet,
well.
sweet.
Exciting to be here.
Fantastic. So, in typical Idea Chat fashion, we just want to hear your story. Tell us about you. Tell us about how you came up with the idea for Harbor. Tell us a little bit about, how you get into the design flow. How do you get into the zone?
Definitely, sure. The whole story really starts off sort of on what you touched on back at Syracuse when, it was my fifth year, the thesis final year of industrial and interaction design. Similar to architecture, it's an entire year dedicated to your research, your sort of project. You're working for yourself. And that's what's really nice about, being in a design major. You can really sort of self-direct and really pursue what you're interested in. And right now I'm painting a picture like that's really great, but trust me, at the beginning of that year, everyone's freaking out. What do I want to study? Where, what? It's completely self-directed, and as easy it is to push the panic button. What I wanted to do was sort of focus on what I thought was really cool. And one thing that I've always found cool, growing up, I played sports. I could listen to music. I could do anything. Or I had experiences where, I just seemed to notice that time just flew by. I was completely, focused on what I was doing. Take basketball, for example. It felt like I just couldn't miss. And, you call that being in the zone or in the pocket or, feeling it, so to speak. And I was really fascinated with, uh, with what that was all about. And just in general, when I was working and drawing and design, um, why I could forget to eat, and all of a sudden it went from 2 in the afternoon to midnight, and I got so much done.
Nice.
And that was what was really amazing, is the productivity aspect of being that engaged. So that's where I started. I was really interested in what that was about, and it turns out that's an actual state of psychology that people study called flow. Considered a positive state of psychology, and flow state psychology basically says that when you are, your skill or whatever you're doing, that task at hand is met equally with the challenge itself. So your skill level and the challenge level are sort of meeting. You enter this state of really intense focus and engagement, where you're able to sort of lose sense of yourself and get lost in the work you're doing. And all of that, blew my mind,
Yeah.
especially because, to me, I didn't know that was, something that, there was research on, and there was things I could learn. And so I dove right in. I started reading all sorts of books on flow. There's actually a guy whose last name is extremely hard to pronounce. His name's Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he's sort of the godfather of flow. And after I read up on him and really felt informed on the matter, I was fascinated and excited, and I knew that whatever I was going to do from that point on, I wanted to design to help prolong or help induce and sort of capture that idea of
Yeah.
flow. So that was a really exciting starting point. But in design, you still have to sort of pair that. You still need to say, okay, I like flow, but who's going to be my user? Who do I want to see who's in flow? Who can I study in flow? What sort of thing do I want to make that's for flow? And once I started thinking about that and who I wanted to really look at and understand better, um, it sort of hit me that, wait a minute, I was in a building of designers. I had 7 floors of designers who were a really interesting user group, who have really interesting needs, do a lot of sort of fascinating behavior as far as how they work, and felt like I want to design for designers. I know that sounds meta, but it's very true. I really wanted to explore that space and
I think we might have lost Carson.
flow or give them flow. Oh, let me try
Let me
this.
see. Still on? So it seems that we might have had some tech difficulties. Hey, Carson, if you can still.
Hey,
Oh, there we go.
do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's cool.
Um, and anyways, so that's how that came to be. And so now that I knew I wanted to look at when designers were in flow and look for opportunities in that way, I started interviewing a lot of different designers from fashion to graphic to interior and obviously industrial. And it also helped that I could also look at myself and say, like, well, what do I do? How am I working? And basically what I started finding was designers collect a ton of stuff, and they also create a ton of stuff.
Hmm.
And so we're sort of these creatures that are like these sort of hoarders and makers at the same time, and we end up just sort of having tons of things around us, and we love to see and learn and keep things visual. Um, and that was a really interesting sort of insight. And from there, I started noticing, well, what are we doing specifically? And a lot of designers, when they're given a brief or a task, they'll just start looking at pictures, thousands of pictures, looking at leaving hundreds of tabs open on their browsers and dragging stuff to their desktop. If you look at a lot of designers' desktops, they look like some sort of Greek mosaic of files everywhere. And it's not just designers. That's sort of the interesting thing as well. Just people in general, especially visual thinkers, really want to sort of keep things in front of them. If it gets in a folder, it just sort of gets lost forever.
Definitely.
Or they add it to a site or some sort of other digital space. They really don't use that for their, work. Um, and so with that, I sort of was able to find, a lot of patterns in those behaviors and started thinking, well, what would this tool that I could design, what would that really do? How could I sort of empathize with what we like to do without asking them to sort of comply to a whole new system? And that's where I came up with the idea for Harbor.
Nice, nice. So
Yeah.
you actually, that was actually going to be my first question. So thinking about, you being a design student, but then, the other the 7 floors of design students you were working with, did you
Yeah.
ever find it hard for you guys to kind of get into that flow, zone state when it came to design projects? Because I know for me as an engineer, or when I was an engineering student, my way of getting into the zone would be, super late at night. I'd be kind of tired and I didn't have a lot of distractions around me, and that was kind of my way of kind of easing into this flow thing. Is it any different for designers?
That's a great question. So I think there is a lot of that. I mean, I think environment and setting and and preference to those things absolutely are triggers for flow. Like you sort of mentioned, less distractions, single tasking, and sort of things like music or things that can sort of acquire rhythm are really important. Feedback, like what you're doing, making sure that you can see what you're doing is growing or taking place, whether that be finishing a sketch or working on a project, but at least there's some sort of finality to it. All those things are really important. But what was interesting, and I'm glad you brought this up, was designers are really finding flow in two sort of places. And the first is surfing the web. So when we're given this project, and we have to sort of start becoming experts on it, we want to learn as much as we can about how people are using said thing. I had to do a project on scuba diving equipment once,
Hmm.
and I had no idea how double O sealants work, what's buoyancy, how what colors can you actually see underwater when you get under 40 feet of water. That's not the pretty stuff you put on Pinterest. That's a lot of digging on the web. That's a lot of crazy science sites and things that I'm just scribbling stuff down and I'm leaving tabs open and I'm just dragging stuff to my desktop. So that was actually an area of flow. But the other area, and this is sort of where I found the opportunity to make Harbor, was the other area, it comes later when it's like, okay, so now I have learned this stuff, but now I'm in my Adobe software. I'm on my paper. I'm starting to create concepts. What if we put this sort of shape and made this a double O ring, and then underwater the scuba guy could just hold it and clip it on to his shoulder or something. That was sort of the second area, was this area of creating a thing. But where flow was getting lost and where it was really getting attacked was in between those two things. So like I said, you sort of are digging around on the web and you're finding stuff and thinking about stuff. Um, and then you kind of have to regather all of that once you start going into creating ideas. There was no bridge to keep you from one state of flow to the next. It sort of broke off, and that's where I was. Well, that's where Harbor sort of was born, in that idea that in those both two states, there should be a bridge that just keeps you in one long state of flow, so that it's not broken and you're completely derailed.
Sure. So, speaking of Harbor, let's talk a little bit about that. So, could you explain how Harbor works and why a designer or any visual thinker for that matter should use Harbor?
Absolutely, yeah. So how it works is really simple. So basically, it's an overlay canvas that rides across your desktop. And when you're working on a project, the first thing you'll do is start a harbor. So if I'm going to do this scuba diving project, I'm going to title this harbor scuba diving. And basically what it is anything I find on the web, text, image, video, that's important to that project, I simply just drag it right into the harbor. And as it is, it's just this canvas. It's this working document for me to collect everything I'm finding, and more importantly, things I'm thinking. So when I see this really inspiring picture that I know is going to be important for this project, and I drag it in, I can immediately leave a comment, hashtag it, leave a voice note, make a connection to another thing I found. And so I'm able to capture my entire process on screen and then simultaneously store where I got it and the file itself. So it's a really nice way to store those things, and then also it's sort of like a clipboard, so that I can drag images off of it and also bookmark them. It's a very visual way of working.
Nice, nice. I'm actually taking a look at your website right now, and I just want to recommend that everyone take a look at it really quick. I actually see where that scuba diving reference came in. It looks like that
Sure.
might have been a challenging project for you since you put it up on your website. It must have really inspired you to start this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I just think it's something someone can relate to, in the sense of that was something I let's just put it this way. I know way more than the average person on designing for underwater. So probably more than I should. So yeah, that's sort of where that came from.
Nice. I'm actually going to share a video right now with all of our viewers in the chat. Watch that video there. Um, Actually, do you mind if we take a look at the tutorial video?
No, not at all. You can get a quick overview on
Yeah,
basically what I'm
let's see.
talking
I
about.
think
That
it's
sounds good.
a 3 minute video. So actually, let's watch this now. Let's take a look. Hopefully this works. I actually never tried to do it this way, so hopefully this works. Well, that didn't work. Okay. Well, that sucks.
Yeah, well, feel free to visit the site and absolutely try it out. It's completely free. I'm getting, like I said, a lot of people are really finding it useful for for their work. So,
All right, so I'm back. All right, I'm back.
no problem.
So apparently, that wasn't a good thing to do. So I apologize
Not a
for that.
problem. Not a problem.
Whoopsie. Okay, so let's just get right back into this thing.
Sure.
And no more crazy technical errors. So, how do our viewers go about, getting Harbor? Is this something that, they can pick up in the store? Is this something that they download?
Oh, the it's a downloaded software. Basically, you go to myharbor.com. You can download it. Using it, it's completely free. Takes probably uh, 1 minute to register, probably less, 30 seconds to register, and I would say the average user is using Harbor within 5 minutes. So pretty
Wow.
quick learning curve. And essentially, if you wanted to get into how it works, it's for a Mac desktop and Chrome. My research basically showed that that was how most of the design community worked initially. Other versions are being built right now as we speak, which is really exciting.
Nice.
But basically,
Nice.
yeah, it's a desktop software that runs simultaneously with a Chrome extension, and very simple to use. We're a certified developer with Mac, so just go to myharbor.com and try it out. I'm sure you'll love it, and you know, really enjoy working with it. So.
For those people who are actually going to download and use the service, is there a way to contact you to, maybe provide feedback about, the platform, future iterations, new features?
Sure, yeah, definitely. So the most common way to contact me is through the site. If you go to myharbor.com, there's a contact us. You can email me directly at support@myharbor.com, or tweet at me at myharbor. Um, all three ways,
Cool.
I'm more than eager to help, and it's a really really nice way to stay in touch with my users. So I'm very active.
Sweet. So actually, let's just take this time to, entertain some questions. So Dee, she's a frequent viewer of our show, so let's put her comment up on the screen.
Sure.
Whoa. So yeah, my Windows PC is kind of going crazy right now. So I apologize if you can hear me, but you can't see me.
No problem. I can hear you.
All right, as long as you can hear me, that's cool. For some reason, Firefox is just going crazy today. I don't know. The sun is out, and I would think that, people would be outside and not indoors. But I think there are still tons of people inside because it's so freaking cold outside. So I might actually have to refresh this. Not. Oh, all right. Are we back on? Maybe, maybe not.
I'm on. Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm not sure. Okay, I can hear you. but my computer is still being crazy. I really feel like it's campus connection right now. Hmm. All right. Well, if you can still hear me,
Again,
Dee had a question. She wanted to know how have other people, other than designers, been able to use Harbor, or can they at this point?
yeah, Dee, that's a great question. So, initially the design community was the one that I was sort of after. I mean, that was the group I studied. That's sort of the community I know. But what I'm learning now is, it's really is a great application, or it has so many applications to so many different people. And I think that's one of the more encouraging things I've learned is that, a lot of my downloaders are and users are not designers and or I don't really think I guess I'm sort of the belief that everyone's sort of a designer in a lot of ways. So absolutely, it's something that's just extremely visual and very user centered and human
Right.
centered. You know, you see something you like, you drag it into this space, and you have it. It's there, it's safe, and you see it. So I would say if you're someone who has a lot of bookmarks, a very cluttered desktop, you're a very good candidate for Harbor.
Sweet. So, okay, so my screen is still frozen, so I'm actually going to have to jump right back into the Spreecast. So give me like hopefully 15 seconds.
Okay,
Okay? I'll be right back.
no problem.
Now I can't even close this thing.
Yeah.
RVD idea, Tony. Hey, I'm doing all right. I have not seen it. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I have. Yep. It right now, but I have seen it. Mm-hmm. Carson, can you hear
Hey
me?
Tony. Yeah,
Hey, so crazy thing just happened. Mozilla just completely crashed, and I don't know what in the world happened. So my sincerest apologies on that. Hope I didn't mean to leave you hanging like that, man.
not a problem.
Okay. It looks like D took care of it, so that's good. That's good. Um, so being that we are running a little bit low on time, do
Sure.
you have? There's two things I want to do. First, do you have any advice for people who are looking to get projects or ideas off the ground, being that you're kind of in that phase right now? You spent the
Yeah,
last 10 months working on Harbor. Any advice for people like that?
definitely. One thing I would say that's really important is visualize it as much as you can. I mean, I would say one thing that's really important to the process is obviously it has to be iterative. So keep working at it and keep trying to tweak it and toy with, and sort of figure out really who you are, what it is that you're doing. And also, I would say, like I said, just visualize it. I mean, I know a lot of this talk I've been saying, visual thinking, but even if you're not from a design background, it's worth, just talking to a designer or getting someone to, put something up that when an outsider looks at, they get. A lot of people talk about that from a speaking standpoint or their slide deck, but I think equally as important is something, even if it's just a rendering, just something that has some captures what you're thinking. I think that's really important from just to have in front of you. It really can help the idea forward.
Totally agree. Always tell students, even if they don't have, the business side of an idea fleshed out yet, having wireframes, having a sketch, having something for people to see and kind of buy into is really important. So I hope
Absolutely.
our viewers take that away, take that with them as they move forward and pursue their ideas. So yeah, the last thing that I wanted to ask you to do, shameless plug opportunity. Is there anything that you would like anyone to know about Harbor, about you, what's next for you guys?
Sure.
Um, the platform is yours.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, yeah, definitely use Harbor. I really think it's an important and great tool to use when you're researching and tell everyone you know. I mean, I love that it's growing and people are really loving it and it's taking off. So use it and spread the good word.
Sweet. Carson, it has certainly been a pleasure, minus all the crazy technical stuff that's happening today. Um, I hope you had a great time on Idea Chat
Definitely.
CNY.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Tony. I really appreciate it.
Take it easy,
Take care.
Carson.
Thank you.
So everyone, that wraps up another Idea Chat CNY. Follow Carson on Twitter at myharbor. And make sure if you do use a platform, contact them through the contact form, hit them up on Twitter, and give them some feedback about this product. This is a really, really innovative project, and I'd really love to see this thing really take off. Also, visit their website, myharbor.com, to learn more about what the service can do for you. Keep the conversation going on Twitter using the hashtag IdeaChatCNY, and make sure that you tag us at IdeaCuse in that tweet. Check out our previous shows by clicking the link that you see on the screen here. We have a great idea chat coming up with someone from a fashion app called Wishy, Wear It, Share It. So we will have more info on that on our page soon. So feel free to check that out next week around the same time, Wednesday between 4 and 6. And lastly, if this is something new that we're gonna put out there, so if there's something that you'd like to see on Idea Chat, tweet it to us. We'd like to know what you would like to see. If it's something related to startups, something related to technology, business, mentorship, you name it, let us know. We really want this to be about you, and we want to serve the community of people, innovators, makers that are really doing awesome stuff out there. So make sure that you hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what you'd like to see on future idea chats. And so until next time, make sure you keep connecting, keep asking questions, and keep tuning in to the show. Tony Kershaw signing out. Everyone have a great day.